What's up, Wes? Welcome to the party, man.
Thanks, man.
Cool of you to join us. We're gonna give it 2 more minutes and jump off at 1:05. Have it pretty open if anybody wants to chat, ask questions. I even open it up for some venting, up to 60 seconds of venting if needed. Otherwise we'll jump in here in a few. I think we got Karina. Karina, you still working on your picture over there?
My picture?
You said you were trying to fix your picture on your Zoom.
Oh, yeah. Sorry. Yeah.
Like,
Well, I don't know. I don't know what I'm doing.
Hey, how are we supposed to, so I know that, we're using Slack for everything, and that's awesome. I love it. But on these things, when you send out a link, the only way you can do it is on your phone, not on the computer, which would be so much easier if I was on a computer.
Oh, I just sent an extra, because it was already in the newsletter. And I just put it an extra.
I tell people that all the time. You'd think I'd know this by now.
Yeah, and I thought about, but for me to enter everybody's email.
No. You don't need to. You're absolutely right. I tell people that all the time. It's in the newsletter. Go to the newsletter. The link is there.
I'm texting a few people right now. Jamie's logging in.
Okay, cool.
I text her and Mandy. And she forgot. So I'm texting a few people.
I'll switch to my computer now that you guys talked about that.
Yeah, but I mean, you can join however you want, Melissa. It's up to you. Whatever's easiest, but yeah, typically it's easier on the computer. It's bigger. Like here, we're not looking at graphics. This is more just a lot of verbal stuff in this class.
Okay.
So it's not as necessary to be logged on your computer. But yeah, typically can be easier. All right, so we got a few people. I'll give it an extra minute or two since Karina's rallying up the troops over there. And we got some people logging in a little late. And again, any questions you'll have, feel free to fire away. I will take this time to say too, so going forward, me and Wes are confirming this, but I'll be doing at least one coaching session a month, or whatever you want to call it. And really, I have like a list of a lot of topics and things that I think would be good to cover. But if you guys have any, this class is actually based off y'all's feedback, Karina and a few other people asking about scripts and follow-ups, and kind of what I felt after my last coaching session was there was a lot of questions about that. So nothing, as far as our plan or schedule, nothing's really set. It's all for y'all, whatever's the most valuable to you. So I don't know, what do you guys think about? Maybe I'll put in something on Slack with just a list of classes, topics I have, and then open up where you guys can enter other topics. And then I can just base it off that. Might be the easiest versus everybody kind of throwing out random ideas whenever, and which I might not be able to consolidate. So I think I'll do that. And then, yeah, if you guys have anything specific or any feedback on the classes, or how you'd maybe advice on how you can get more out of them going forward, or how I can deliver them better, please feel free to share. And then other than that, I will just kind of jump in. Again, this class isn't overly structured because it's based on, I'm going to base it off your guys' feedback and what you're looking for. But we're just going to be looking at scripts follow-up today. So jumping down, really focusing on manual follow-up. So text, calls, focusing on manual follow-up, being calls, texts, and emails are 3 main forms of manual follow-up. And then the type of leads we're following up with are more or less broken down into 3 categories. You got your new, fresh leads that you're trying to work. And then our second tier is these warmish leads we've met with or spoken with that we're trying to figure out more from, but they're still pretty fresh. And then your further out leads. Those are leads you haven't been able to qualify, or you have, and they're just not ready. They're at least 6+ months out, or at least 3 to 6 months out, let's say. So we're gonna focus on those 3 types of leads and how to approach each. and then go from there. At the end, if we have some extra time, Karina and I are going to do some role play, and we did not fully like practice this out. So we're going to hit some typical objections you guys see for in the Zillow Flex team, because those are pretty common objections you'll see across all lead platforms. And then Karina's got some curveballs over there for me. So we'll see. She's going to try to stump me, and maybe you'll see what happens, because like for sure I get stumped all the time too. I did 2 hours of calls on was it Tuesday, and an hour yesterday, and I got stumped a couple times, and it'll happen often. So we'll see. Welcome aboard. We got Dawn, Jamie, Lilia. Hello, hello, ladies. Welcome. How is everybody? Hello, hello. Since we kind of started a little late and then jumped in, just quick check-in. How's everybody doing today? Thumbs up, everybody. All right, cool, cool. All right, everybody. Is everybody okay? Does anybody have any questions or anything they want to address before we kind of jump into our coaching? Everybody all good? Okay, sweet. And Dawn, no worries on being late at all. We started a little late to give everybody time and just kind of chat basics in the beginning. So you're all good. Thank you for joining, and welcome, Brittany. Awesome. So jumping right into here, we're just going to start with the basics. So you're getting your initial calls, and honestly, because Zillow, well, I think we're all part of the Flex team, but this isn't a Flex-based class, but a lot of what we're using in Zillow is a great foundation to use across platforms. So you might not necessarily be using the exact ALM script if you're trying to convert other leads through other platforms, but the structure of it is something I think is a great base to follow. So I'm going to share my screen, and a lot of the graphics and stuff I'm using today are literally just stuff that Zillow has shared that you'll have access to via Slack. So again, as we all know, ALM we already are pretty comfortable with. I don't know why this is tweaking out. Sorry, let me get this figured out. So the ALM, excuse me, some issues. So the ALM is all about, obviously, you know, you're getting that initial call and how to start building rapport and qualifying that lead. The practice is, I'm trying to show this a lot larger. Can you guys see my screen? Everybody good? Yeah, cool. So the best practices that Zillow's going to suggest for preparing is obviously the research. So this is based off after you receive a call, what are you doing afterwards? So obviously your preparation before you receive calls at all, it varies. You don't know what call is going to come in, what type of lead, what type of needs they have. But after you receive that call, what are you doing? We have quite a big gap from when you receive calls and you get appointments to actually meeting them. And then after meeting them to getting them from there to further qualifying them into hopefully showing or into an appropriate nurture plan. So good practices that Zillow recommends and that we support obviously are doing your research. So before your follow-up call, yeah, you're looking to set that appointment, but you're also looking to see if there's other properties available that might be of interest for them. Seeing anything you could provide extra value and be proactive versus reactive. And then obviously following up with your phone call. This is all, again, going to be available to you, but they cover all that. Having those 2 to 3 available properties available, giving them, we talked about a lot of this in our Chime and Zillow classes recently, but providing options for times. You just want to be geared that the lead might not know what they want all the time, and they might want they might ask for one time, and you might save yourself a lot of time by getting options or by coming to them with options. Let's say you only get one time on the call, you find out that time's not available, come back to them with times that are available, just to help you be more efficient and on point. Calendar invitation. Again, we're kind of rehashing these because these are new things that were introduced to us by Zillow that were great ideas, but sending a calendar invitation, day of appointment text, and then the kind of next level of this is doing a video text. So just kind of rehashing what we've talked about a couple times for any of those who haven't caught it or that didn't retain it. And the whole idea is just making it more personal And the one thing I want to say there that helps you more than, in my opinion, there's two things that can help you with these calls more than anything. Whether it be that initial really quick follow-up or a year from now or anything in between, is having their name. Having their name is crucial, and not being worried to ask them their name. And especially just if you don't catch it the first 2 times, I think we're all similar. Nobody likes to ask the name multiple times. Nobody like, it's not a comfortable thing to ask somebody what 3 different times what their name. So just ask how to spell it. Nobody's going to object to this. It's such a simple question, and then it allows you to write it down. A lot of times when they say it too, like, I don't mean to, but like, especially if they're Indians, it's really hard to know how to spell it. And so I would recommend trying to practice that always. Like, of course, if their name is Ann, well, maybe you want to know if it's A-N-N or A-N-N-E, but like, just ask how to spell it, because then you have it written down. You don't have to worry. Like, if we ask the name twice and we can't remember it, then we do the opposite and we don't refer to it. So then it's like, okay, sir, okay, man. And then when you're following up, in the initial follow-ups, maybe not hindering you, but I will say from my end, because now I call a lot of leads that are 2 years out or a year out, and just having the name is huge. So for text, emails, and calls, to have that name to refer to. And then this is more getting into like the further out calls, but also you might have to do it with initial leads. Maybe you call them, it's a couple days since you initially talked and you're calling to confirm the appointment. You often have to remind them by referencing where you're coming from. So let them know, hey, a typical call for me, hey, this is Patrick with WR Properties. You connected with us via Zillow, wow, actually 2 years ago. And we've been sending you properties in Brentwood since then. Does that ring a bell? I always try to reference where I'm coming from, personalize it by addressing them by their name, and then giving them a second to catch up versus just like storming through them and blah, blah, blah. I want to see if you want to receive new listings and the market's great, blah, blah, and just, overwhelmed. That's when they're totally on defense and ready to get out of that call. So the initial things, like the really important parts, is getting that name. That will help you immediately and all the way through. If you never talk to this lead again for the next 90 days, at least you have a name to put them on a nurture plan where it's going to be reaching out for you. And we're having extremely good results with those plans. And then, of course, where you can refer to them by name. And then lastly on that, don't hesitate to circle back. So if you forget to do it on that call, hey, on that follow-up call, hey, just to make sure how do I spell your name? Or hey, I want to make sure I'm addressing or saying that correctly. How do I say that again? Okay, could you spell that for me? Everybody in the world will be able to spell their name for you. So don't hesitate to do that. And then you have it. And then, of course, anything going forward, when you're referring back, the biggest thing for me when I make a call is the greatest assets I can have. Always say that name and it's something to reference. Ideally, a property alert is great because then I can ask them about that if they're happy about it, if they want adjustments. If there isn't a property alert, cool, then you reference where they came from. They're a source, they came from Zillow or they came from the internet. You just reference where they came from. I will say, if you're worried, like I know commonly for me as a realtor, like I would have leads that I forgot about or I dropped the ball on, and then I didn't want to call, worried about like, they're going to be mad or blah, blah, blah. Like 95% of the time, probably more than that, they will not even remember who you were, let alone that you dropped that ball, like versus all the other realtors they were talking to at that time. And kind of a last note on those long-term nurture leads, which we'll circle back to, is like 95% of the time, you're going to be the only realtor who's like, that's how I'm able to re-engage a lot of these leads that are 2 years out, not because I'm amazing or I'm not even a realtor. They've never talked to me. It's because all the other ones have fallen off. So, most realtors are going to follow up within 30 days on follow-up, let alone 90 days, a year. I mean, the further out you get, the less competition you have. So it makes it that much easier to stand out. Does anybody have any questions on that or any thoughts on that before
I have some comments.
Yeah. What's up, man?
And suggestions. And you guys have started hearing me talk about it. And I think we need to start spending a lot more time talking about it. It's a huge, huge, huge connection point that we don't take advantage of enough.
So two things. One is video text. Shoot them, just take a quick little video. I mean, even it's like, hey, oh my gosh, Patrick, I am so sorry, but I wanted, it's been a long time since we've talked. I just want to jump on here and say, I hope everything's well. How's it going with your search or whatever? Let me know if there's anything I can do. Boom. It's much better than a text or a call sometimes, because you get, and a lot of times, look, I'll be the first one to tell you, sometimes months go by and I'm looking at these leads going, shit, I don't remember anything about this person. So I get a paralysis. I don't want to pick up my phone and call them. So the other trick, which I absolutely love, if you guys don't have this, and I super encourage this, I really do, slide dial. Slide dial. Because look, I can leave a message for anybody. I might be nervous about talking to them, but I'm not nervous about leaving a message for them. So with slide dial, for those of you who don't know slide dial, it basically, you enter in their number, it rings their phone with an odd number for a split second and then goes right to their voicemail. They don't have time to answer it. So it automatically bypasses them being able to answer it and goes to their voicemail, so you can leave them a message. And then, it's just, it's an easier way. Because here's the thing, we're all in our own fucking heads. The reality is they're going like, it's probably uncomfortable for them too. They probably don't remember. But you know what? And I think we're missing the boat a lot on utilizing those two, even with current people. Because sometimes they're busy. We all have busy lives. We need to touch on people, but we don't always need, there's nothing takes the place of a conversation unless people are busy and don't like to have conversations. It's a great way to build rapport, but then way beyond and way better than a text to touch bases is a video text or a slide out. Because then they're hearing your voice, they're hearing your genuineness, they're hearing your personality. You're making a better connection. And again, the reality is, and I'm kind of like, I'm a big proponent of that, because I live this too. Like, I get nervous about calling people. Like, oh, are they going to remember me? Oh, are they going to care? Like, and then I can go back and, if they don't ever, and sometimes they won't respond. Great. So next week or in 2 weeks or a day later, then it's a lot easier for me to call them back and say, hey, I left you a message the other day, or hey, blah, 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 and that kind of ice is already broken. Yeah, Karina.
Just wanted you and Patrick's opinion. Do you feel, because I do tend to text a lot, is there a certain way of communicating that you feel that you get the best response from? Do you feel like you get the best response from calling versus texting or emailing? What do you feel gets the best response?
Yeah, two comments on that. One is, ask them what's their favorite, out of all the means of communication, what is the best one for you? So, I usually actually try and ask that up front, but beyond that, what I would say is use all platforms. Because sometimes, and I'm being real, I don't always have the time to have a conversation with people.
Well, I do feel like I text a lot, and it's very easy to bypass somebody's text. I get texts from people all the time, and I'm like, yeah, well, whatever.
That's my point. It's become the most used medium, and we really I literally have to sit down at my desk every night before I end my day and go through all of my texts and make sure, because I know that they get buried down. You get so many of them, right? And you're just kind of going, okay, I'll get to that later. I'll get to that later. And then you forget. So
I
yeah,
also have tried, if I do make time to call people, I do it a lot when I'm driving and you have time to kill.
In my opinion, the best thing you can do is, before you jump in your car, make a list of the most important people you need to call. And Gina Marie and I call that net timing. We tend to watch or listen to the things we need to get caught up on at the gym. And then we tend to do our polos and our calls and returning calls in the car, because you're already in the car. You know what? Sorry, turn the music off. Sometimes you need to escape, and I sometimes use the car to escape. And I turn my phone off and I turn the music on because I just need to escape. But other than that, we really try to net time as much as we can. And that's a great point, Karina. Cars, when you jump in the car, absolutely. But it's easier if you have a list, just a short list. I actually usually put 3 to 5 names of people I haven't called, or I need to follow up with, or that I just need to touch, that I haven't touched in a while. And I'll put it, I'll put on a sticky note, put it on my dashboard. And then the one thing I usually do is I usually tell people, hey, oh my gosh, I know we haven't talked in a long time. I was thinking about you. I'm in between appointments. So I kind of already set the tone that this isn't going to be a long conversation too.
Nice. Yeah, I agree. I think it's a very case by case. I try them all because some people, you know, demographically too, typically like some people are going to text more. I definitely do all, like as I'm doing most of the leads that and it's like hundreds right now that I'm kind of nurturing or helping manage, and they're on call like monthly or bi-monthly call plans and nurture plans. So they're already getting hit up with automated plans. And then I essentially switch it up every month. I don't call them each month. If I call, text, I'll email, I kind of rotate it. I see where they're being responsive. I can see a little more, like in Chime, I see if they're opening emails or not. So if they're not, then I don't email. But I would say texts are the easiest to bypass. They're also the easiest to send. I think they're also I've been getting a ton of text responses recently, and they're an easy one for me to do a lot. Like I do it once a month and I just do them lightly versus I know if they're a year out, they don't want to hear me calling every month probably. Texts are also, because they're easy to bypass, they're also not as intrusive, I feel like. And there's something that's easy to just continue layering on. So it's just, hey, just like my texts recently have been like, I call myself out on it. I'm like, hey, just doing my regular rounds here, checking in if you need anything. Hope all is good. Boom. Like I do a lot of that type of texting. But we'll get into that shortly too, the kind of the methodology there of like when I'm asking real specific questions versus just light touches. I do slide out, I don't use, but I love the idea of it. I love it. It's super efficient. And you don't need to be really, the only thing with that is you can record one message, you can record many messages, but you could just also record one and you're not addressing by name. Just say, hey, we connected via Zillow, keep it very basic, and then you don't have to actually call them or leave that message or like re-record it or whatever, feel all conscious about it. So that's an easy way to sneak it in. The one thing on calls for me, I don't feel like I get a ton of responses to voicemails, but I don't know, as long as they're hearing them, that's my goal. They know that I care. Most of these calls are nurture calls too, that I'm referring to right now. And a nurture call, the goal isn't to get them to buy right away, because that's a condition for them. That's not that's their condition. My job's not to change their conditions. My job's to educate them should they have objections that that might be workable. But my main goal with all leads is not to convert everyone, because that is impossible. My goal is to qualify as many as I can. So for me, that means it's even a win for me if I get a hold of somebody and they tell me they already bought a house. Yeah, do I wish I had done some earlier? Maybe blah, blah, blah. Cool, I learned what I could have done before better. But I don't worry about like, cool, at least I found out. I can knock them off the list, stash them somewhere where I retry them a couple years from now or whatever. I get them at least out of sight, out of mind, instead of constantly wondering, oh, I wonder what happened to them. Oh, I forgot to send them that. Oh, maybe they don't like me, whatever. Like, boom, just get it done. So that's my main goal when I'm making calls. I wanted to kind of open up real quick before I jump further, share screens again, and get into like our initial calls. What is your guys? Has anybody had any really good success? Do you have a favorite form of follow-up? I know Karina was asking which ones we recommend. Do any of you others have anything that's been you've tried new that's worked for you well, or something that you have doubts in? Anything on as far as your approach with follow-up? Anything unique or anything you want to share? No worries if not.
I wanted to just address two things in the chat real quick. One is thank you, Gina Marie. She's going to get that slide out link out in our next newsletter, so everybody can kind of utilize that. For those of you who are on here, everybody else will be going like, what the heck's this? And then Karina, yeah, I was wondering the same thing. I don't know how on slide out you record one message and are able to send it or have it just sent out via when you slide dial.
Yeah, I actually, because I haven't used it, I don't know for sure, but I know it integrates with Chime, and most people just have one template message they use, and it's part of their smart plans. I'll confirm that.
Thank you. I believe you're correct. I forget how robust Chime is. Yes, Chime actually does work with slide dial, if I'm not mistaken.
Can you do that though on a regular, like if you call somebody regularly and you happen to get their voicemail, can you like add a recording?
I think in Chime, yeah, it lets you just plug in your recorded message. Let
Okay.
me research on this because I know about Slidell, but I haven't worked with it. But it shouldn't take much for me to find those answers.
I know
but
Rob O'Malley does that often, like recorded voicemails.
Okay, yeah, cool.
That-
Yeah,
That's right, he does. So let's maybe reach out to him and see what he does. And
The
Melissa
other
has a
thing
question.
about Chime is Slide Dial is if you guys are leaving a message and you just fumble all over your words, you can delete it and start over.
nice.
So it doesn't have to actually send it. Like it's kind of like when you're doing a voice text and it deletes itself because someone calls you or because it just your kids start screaming in the background. You can just click the X and restart. It's the same concept with the Slide Dial. You don't have to. You can re-record. You just stop talking. There's a couple prompts I think you push and it will just say, would you like to erase and record? And you can do that. So
Nice.
just fun to share.
And I think, I don't know, because I don't leave voicemails at all, but you used to be able to just hit star too when you're leaving a voicemail, like via your iPhone, and then it will actually give you an option to erase the message.
Hit
for your-
pound,
pound,
and then
pound.
yeah, and then it'll always tell you if you want to re-record.
Cool.
I'm old school. I hit pound after every voicemail.
All right, cool. So yeah, I'll look into Slidell. I'll see what features it has and how it integrates and how easy we can use it. And yeah, Lilia, yeah, great. Rob uses BombBomb, another great option. Super easy to record videos and send them. Essentially, the way it works is it embeds in the email. So when you send it, it shows a little snippet of the video. So it's kind of already dynamic and moving, and it's not something you have to download to watch. It's just a very easy video sharing platform. Okay, sweet. So yeah,
Patrick, can we put together a BombBomb class, or so people can get on here and learn how to use it?
Yeah, we got to talk.
If you could make that note, we'll talk about that offline.
Cool. Yeah, that real quick. Gotcha. Good idea. BombBomb and Slidell are on the list. All right, sweet. Okay, cool. So since we're already a half hour in here, what I want to do is I'll be providing, so by tomorrow, I have a few things I owe you guys and I'm running behind and I apologize. So by tomorrow, I'll be posting everything that we covered in Slack last week, the live document with High Note, the Chime, your top 5 steps that will go on the Chime channel. And then by tomorrow, I'll provide you guys scripts. Essentially, you'll get three documents. There will be scripts for our new fresh leads, our hot and new leads, scripts for warmer leads that we're still qualifying, and then cold leads. And then 3 types of scripts: text, emails, and calls. Calls will be talking points. Emails will be like the subject line and the base of the email, not the full email. And then text will be the full text for you guys to utilize. But really, it's just my approach, or the approach or the strategy that I want you to focus on, not so much the scripts, because it will be better in the future as they evolve, that they come from you, that they're of your voice, your tone. But the idea is more what I want to approach here, because I know it was something I struggle with big time as a realtor, and it's something that's way easier for me to see now that I have this degree of separation, where I will say it's easier for me to call because they're not my leads that I've met with, and I don't have a bunch of worries or kind of thoughts or limiting beliefs in my head. And I've gotten better because I've practiced a lot. So, and I was not good at all when I started. So anyone can do this. So the initial stuff is that when we're getting new leads, I'll hop over there, when we're getting fresh leads, my goal in the beginning is literally just to qualify them. Like I said, not to convert them. And then the biggest thing with Zillow, because we get a lot of leads that come in, or period, anywhere. You get a lot of leads that come in with objections. Common ones in Zillow: open house, want to speak to the listing agent, already have an agent. Those are some common ones. There's several more: not interested, they're working or busy, etc. Our goal, again, we can't control the leads. It's the name of the game. It's the name of life. So we're going to win some, we're going to lose some. But the goal is to look, James said this in a meeting we had a couple of weeks ago from Zillow, and I loved it. It's looking for ins rather than looking for outs. And I think that's the biggest thing. If you can stick with that, you're going to always be a proactive agent. You're always going to be looking and finding opportunities versus just looking for ways to feel like you did enough or whatever can move on to the next. And an example of that is like somebody who calls for an open house is just giving them the ad, or, yep, it's open 1 to 4, enjoy, versus there's several other ways you could find ins there. For example, and I'm not suggesting you all have to do all these are just ideas that obviously you could check in. Let me make sure there's no gate code, you're good to go, taxes set house 1 to 4. First thing I would do is for sure offer to meet them. Like, I'd be happy to meet you there. It is open, but I'd be happy to meet you there so you're well taken care of and can provide you any information. See if there's any other properties in that area for them to see as well, to try to add that on. If they're totally against meeting you and you've tried everything you can, then again, I wouldn't think it's a bad idea to send them a list if there's more open houses in the area. You'll definitely stand out versus the other agent who's just trying to get a meeting with them. And then you're setting yourself up for follow-up. By you doing these little steps that maybe seem tedious or that they're not so much requesting at that time, you're setting yourself up for future follow-up. So then, cool, they go to that open house, awesome. Then you have something to follow up with on Monday or Tuesday. Hey, just wanted to check in, see how that open house went. Just real light, see how things went. Would you guys like to see anything this weekend? However it is, you're just having something to reference, and you already price yourself as somebody who's going to provide value to them. So that's a good example. Or if they totally go see that whole week, send them a list of open houses that next Friday. I wouldn't recommend doing this for multiple weeks, but there are ways that you can do more. If, let's say you took a lead and that was the only lead you were going to get that month and you had to put food on the table, what else could you do if you thought about that? And just take little bits of that. You don't need to do everything. If you start somewhere and you layer onto it, that would be a good example of looking for an in. And then this is in the initial stage and blending through into the kind of that warm stage of they're not communicating as much or they're not as hot, is just making ourselves as comfortably and conveniently as available to them as possible. That's my goal. I do it. I try not to ask any questions. I try not to ever make the lead feel obligated to reply to me in the first few months. I try to not make them feel ever bad. I never want to refer back to like, hey, I'm reaching out again. Never want to say that. Never want to say, hey, I'm not sure if you I haven't heard back from you in a while. Never want to make them feel like they're doing something wrong. I just want to make them feel like I am going to be here for them whenever they're ready. But if I'm annoying them, just let me know and I'll chill out a bit. So a common, very, very, I'll actually show you guys. I have several examples, but one just popped up last night. So I figured it was a good one to show. So this is a lead that came in May. And I have several of these that are from 2020 that we're trying to work. But this is a lead that came in May, went into nurture. He just wasn't ready yet. So we put him on a nurture plan. He's on a nurture, not sure smart plan. So he's getting I think he's gotten one auto text from there and one email so far. And then he's on a monthly call plan with me. He came in May 30th, called him, yesterday or 2 days ago. And then July, June, and again in June. So I called him June, July, and then August. Really should have called him September. I was super behind on all my tasks, so didn't. I think I texted him though. So then you'll see text. We text him June 3rd, June 17th, because after I talked to him, July 7th, a check-in, August 9th, a check-in, September 3rd, a check-in, August 18th, a check-in. I want you to notice he didn't reply to any of these, none. I talked to him on the 3rd and then again on the 17th. He was busy on the 3rd. Called him back. He requested a call back a couple days later, didn't answer. Called him back a week and a half later. He answered, talked to him, set up his search the way he wanted. Then I texted him to kind of check in here and there to make sure the search was good. He didn't respond at all. He even stopped opening the alerts. So this is an example of like, we never know. If we read too much into what we see, like we can get a lot of indicators from metrics and analytics, but we don't fully always know. So he stopped even opening his alerts. He stopped replying. I don't care. I'm just going to keep replying, keep doing my thing. But it's real light. I don't say like, hey, what happened to you? You're not opening alerts. Just, hey, AG, Patrick here, checking in. Are we still on track with the properties we're sending you, or has anything changed? Boom. Next time, a month later, hey, AG, circling back to check in. Are you already in good hands with your search, or do you prefer no future follow-up? These are the type of messages I'll ask few months after the initial touches, where I want to find out, hey, are you already working with an agent? Hey, has anything changed? Just like that, just to try to find out some information from them. But if they don't reply too, it's not like a big deal. They don't need to feel bad to not reply to this text. And I don't need to feel weird to follow up with another one.
We never know what people have going on in their lives.
Never.
And to me, until somebody says, F you, stop calling me, leave me alone, there's no reason to reject them or stop. There really isn't. Because guess what, guys? AG reached out last night, and I'm showing him 4 properties at $1.2 million on Sunday. So, it works. And by the way, it's kind of the same thing you guys should all be doing in the first, be doing more than that in the first 30 to 30 days to really win the lead. But that's, I'm telling you, there's gold in these things. And yes, I actually pay Patrick to do this for me, because I'm also helping all you guys running the office and doing this and that. And, so it does help, because I got a Patrick, but I pay him very well to do that. So, but the point is if he has all the systems, and he's there for you guys as far as to lean into a little bit to get scripts or what to say or to bounce ideas off of, or that kind of stuff. But the chime works, and it's really crucial to the success, to your success. I mean, that's going to come back. That's what keeps the metrics going and keeps that bottom of the funnel feeding everybody.
Yeah, just building your downline. I'm in a different position because I'm not dependent on commissions for my life, but like leads, to me, if you got a bunch of hot leads, I would love a bunch of warmer leads. I know that our systems are probably better than 90% better, if we're utilizing them, than your competition. So our nurture stuff, like those leads are almost like easier money for you down the line, because we have systems to help you nurture them with minimal effort, versus your competition who's going to have to remember to manually be reaching out and have to keep spreadsheets or whatnot. And you have property alerts where we have value adds, high note now. So a lot of things that help you really position yourself and just efficiently manage and nurture your leads. That will, again, you're not going to see a huge return by Thanksgiving, but 3-6 months from now, you will be. And I'm already seeing it with like Wes's database, people who I'm working in their database and utilizing the nurture plans. And we're getting tons of activity, like tons of responses to these nurture plans, where it's a message we don't actually send. They're already typed in there. They go out on all you have to do is make sure that that plan is applied. And they get replies which is what we're looking for. The replies are, thanks for checking in. We're still just browsing. Again, they're nurturing. They have a condition. They're waiting for some reason. So we're not trying to change their condition. We're just trying to be the person that they think of when that condition is relieved from them.
Here's another way to think of it a little bit, you guys. I was just talking to somebody, another agent from another company this morning. It's like, one of the great things about Zillow is people love real estate. They're enamored by real estate. It's that shiny object always. So whether they're, and so people are always on Zillow, regardless of whether they just bought a home or they're in the market to buy a home or they're not. They're just on there. People, it's like, it's so glamorized and people love it. But eventually everybody is a buyer or seller. And then also realizing that, people on Zillow, they're no different than your friend. They all know a handful. People don't go on Zillow because they don't know a real estate agent. Seriously, everybody knows several real estate agents. Let's just be freaking gut check real about that. It's who's there when they need it, who's top of mind, who's staying on them, who's staying on it, who's standing out as a leader in the industry, who's standing out as I'm going to work the best for you because I'm always thinking of you. I'm always in the business.
Exactly. Yeah. And like, again, it's that persistence. That persistence is what wins out. And again, that's how I'm like currently able to re-nurture leads from 2020. It's not because I'm amazing. Like, I'm not a realtor. Like, I don't have a lot of value personally to provide them, but I've reached out and nobody else is anymore. So I'm the only one reaching out about real estate. So they're open to it.
Persistence that's a good thing. It's persistence, Patrick. You said it right there.
Yeah. And
that's what ISAs do. That's all they do. They just call. They're not realtors most of the time. Some of them can be.
Exactly. And it's just making that call, that touch. You're not gonna like I would say maybe once in a million, you're gonna win somebody by like a glamorous text or email or something, but those all help. Like, the more you're doing those all help. And what I mean by that is you don't need to overthink it by sending the most robust text or email. Or I mean, I used to describe my whole life to my leads. Like, nobody probably read my emails for the first 3 months in real estate. Like, I keep all my stuff super simple. If you ever forget or aren't sure, you can always reach out to me. I love talking this stuff and can do it all the time. B, you can always check out any of the plans I have in Chime. They are what I do. So the nurture plans I have in there, the emails, the texts, they're all there. And those are literally what I use, more or less. Like, I adjust them seasonally or based off market or my last contact a bit. Maybe I say, like, as we're heading into the holidays, want to check in, or as we're heading into spring, things like that to reference, like, to make it current. But I don't do anything really, really like crazy or amazing. Like, yeah, I'm good at talking to people, but I think we all are good enough that the more we do, we get better. I just refer to simple stuff. I refer to where they came from. I refer to when they came in, mostly. And I refer to things we're doing, things that are we're doing with them. So I'll show you this Zillow laid it out really well in this document right here. And God, sorry, I can't organize all my stuff right now. It is a document showing, I'm sorry, I'm a mess right now with this, trying to share my screen. But it's essentially saying that you want to personalize it, like we said with the names. Sorry, I got too many documents going on here. You want to personalize it, like we said, and then you want to be referencing something, referencing where they came from or why you're calling. You're not just calling out of the blue, straight cold calling. And then you want to make it really easy for them. And that's one thing I think I've gotten a lot better at, where I've noticed a big shift in my responses, is just I make it really easy for them. Was I sharing the screen when I was talking about the AG lead and the text I was showing? Okay, cool. So those are very common. Like, those are literally, I mean, I sent a bunch of texts yesterday. Hey, just left you a voicemail, just touching base, making sure seeing how things are progressing. That's a common text. Hey, just reaching out, making sure you're still in good hands, or everything's still good on your end. We're here if you need anything. Boom. I do a lot of those, and I don't really expect a response. I don't care if they respond. I mean, I just want them to know that I'm there and that I'm not dropping the ball. My goal is just to know that, like, every month or two, they're at least knowing I'm there. So if it's that time for them, hopefully I get a chance that they'll reach out to me. And that was like the AG example yesterday. He never responded to my text. He actually texted Wes directly. So you never know. Like, it didn't, like, there's no right or wrong thing. Like, he didn't respond to any of my texts. I talked to him. We had a super cool call. Then he didn't respond to my text. I didn't really care. We just kept doing it. And then I texted him on Tuesday. And then yesterday he texted Wes. Like, who knows? I don't know maybe he does. Maybe he doesn't even know we work together. Maybe he does. Maybe he doesn't like me. I don't care or no. He's in touch with Wes if Wes is showing him. That's all I care about. And if he wasn't showing him, all I'd care about is why. Like, cool, he's working with a realtor, he already bought, whatever it may be. I want to get to kind of, since this is going, time's flying here, On the ins and outs things that I want to touch on, because this is something I've started doing a lot more lately too, is like Wes said, just keep following up. Like, so I'll get a lot of texts now that I've been using text plans, and I've been getting a lot of responses recently that are like, no, not interested, or no, thank you. And I used to be like, okay, thanks for letting us know, I'll remove you. Now I don't do that at all. I just say, okay, thanks for letting us know. And literally I ask them if they have a property alert, I ask them if they want it removed or the frequency changed. You don't have to do that. I'm kind of playing with that one. Sometimes they're telling me they want it removed too much, and I'm wondering if I should even offer. But more than anything, I just assume stuff. I just kind of make the plan and let them tell me if it's different. I'm like, okay, hey, thanks for letting me know. I'll circle back with you in early 2023 unless I hear anything different. Boom. I don't need to ask them if it's cool to circle back. If they don't want me to, they'll tell me to. And then I don't need to, because I'm like knocking these out, which I recommend if you're able to do it. It's easiest where you just time block and bop, 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 knock them all out. Then it's in flow with your Zillow updates, all of your like life just gets clear and efficient. But then I don't have to wait for their response or be checking on like if they replied and I put them in the right category or updated their status in Zillow and Chime. I just send them that. What I'm going to do, I update it. Then if they reply otherwise, then I change. And then if people hang up on me, I still put a reminder to call them 3 months later, unless they're just like a total jerk or like they're looking for $100,000 lot and they ghosted 3 appointments. And there are times where it's just like, okay, not worth it. But just looking for ins and outs. And again, utilizing the Chime Nurture stuff will be your best friend, because these leads that you're not sure what to do with or uncomfortable with, those are the best ones to have on Nurture too. So you have them on a Nurture plan where you're calling every here and there, but you're relying on technology and the resources that are available to you to help with those. So we get a ton of responses from our Nurture plans, which is all we're looking for from them. The goal is not to turn them into a hot buyer in the beginning, just to nurture them. So yeah, those are a couple good examples of ins and outs. I think almost any lead you get in Zillow, you can try to find a way for an in. Even if they have an agent, cool. By putting them on a has agent plan in Chime, by trying to poke holes with seeds of doubt, as Wes has talked about, like, all right, where's your agent now? Awesome. Well, did they set you up with somebody else to help you while they're out? Wow, it's the biggest fear of my life in real estate, that one of my clients could not get the house they wanted because I wasn't available. That's something I say to anybody who has an agent, and that is asking me for help. And then, like I said, making yourself available. Does anybody have any questions on that? Any thoughts, feedback? Wes, what's up, man?
Yeah, so I've been talking about this panel, this top producer panel that James put together that I have, that we're going to do a watch thing on. But I haven't had a chance to. I just now started going through and net timing it, and it's an hour deal. It's taken me an hour just to get through the first half of it. It's amazing because I'm like note taking like crazy. That will even plus everything we're talking about. Like this is 5 of the highest converting teams and agents. And I'll tell you what, some of it's so basic, but just a little spin on things that what these guys are doing, and so I'm going to get through this by the end of today, and next week I'll put up 2 different times, because I don't know why anybody wouldn't want to watch it. But I want to watch it together and then have I want to be able to talk about it afterwards and hear your takeaways and really, just it's intense. Like Patrick and I are so committed to making everybody like crazy successful. We're going to keep bringing the tools, finding the tools, doing everything we can. And, it's on you guys to do the work though. That's the thing. And I can't tell you how important it would be if you all could just put aside literally Monday through Friday, 1 to 2 hours in the morning, where all you do is script practice, do your updates, check your leads, live in your clients' viewings, and do follow up and check Chime. And if you did that every day for 2 hours, you wouldn't even need 2 hours. Like some days you get done in like 25 minutes. Okay, great. What do I do now? Whatever you want. But if you just made that habit of just every day, set aside an hour to 2 hours, depending on how many leads you have, like Melissa, I know you have 124 leads that you've taken total since you've been in the program. You could probably spend about 2 hours a day for the first couple weeks, and it would wind down less than that. You know, Mia, I know you have probably about a third of that. So, you know, an hour would probably be good enough for you. You know, I also know that, you know, so, and it would just, and not that you're doing anything wrong, this is just a way to be better, to level up, to do more. Whether you're not performing at a high enough of a level, it will raise that floor. If you're already performing at a high level and you just add those things in, it's just going to raise that bar for you. So those are the really powerful tools. And I'm just like, you know, I'm, you know, we've kind of leveled things out. We've got enough people on here. So I'm not pulling my hair out like I used to. And I get to jump back into this a little bit with the leads I have. By the way, I haven't taken any calls in quite a while. So, you know, I'm not diluting the thing. I've told you guys, this is not, you know, this program is not for me to take leads. I happen to have quite a few in the queue because haven't had this beefy and built up of a team in quite a while. But anyway, yeah. So just look for that. That's coming. And there's even a lot of what Patrick's talking about. But you know, the one thing I can tell you that I got out of all that, all the leveling up that I've heard so far, is the consistency factor.
Yeah, that consistency factor. So I will tell you, I'm glad you said that. The best agent I've ever known, I luckily started a team with in Austin, Texas. And whoever asked for Austin referral recently, I sent it to you. Oh, yeah. The best. So this is like my brother-in-law, and we were very competitive, and I'm super competitive, especially in something like that. And he had me. I'll tell you why he won. I was an overthinker. I thought like, that's why I'm better in marketing. And like, especially at that time, I wasn't confident, a new industry. I had excelled in everything I ever tried. And then I got in real estate and was humbled really quick. He would just super simple, like too simple. When I'd see him responding to emails, like not capitalize, like his email, like is very simple. Like morning, yes, see you at 2. And I'm like, yeah, good morning. I look forward to seeing you there. Let me know if there's anything else. Can't wait to meet you guys. Blah, 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 all this shit nobody cares about. And he's just like super simple to the point. And that's the way he does everything. His calls, he doesn't even look like, I still look at, when I'm calling, I'm still looking at what they're doing in Zillow and Chime. I want some things to reference. He doesn't look at anything. He just makes the calls. He puts the dialer on a rotation, just lets it ring away. And when people answer, he figures it out. And this guy, I swear to God, look him up. Like I sent you, it's in Zillow. Like he sells 60 plus homes a year in Austin, and he just kills it because he just does the simple stuff without overthinking it. And he does it every day, every single day.
We complicate everything. We overthink everything. We think we have to know everything. You don't. You just need to start a conversation. Like it's literally that. And start a conversation and be authentic and ask lots of questions.
Boom, and be authentic. And like with authentic, you could be humble. You can admit to being like, I've had calls. If somebody asks me some question, like, wow, I'm stumped actually. Like I've never heard that one. That's pretty good. Let me look into that. Or, hey, I actually totally got at a loss for words there. I feel like I've regained my composure. What did you ask? Like I don't recommend doing that all the time, but you don't have to take everything so serious. We are humans. We make mistakes. We like, don't always remember or hear things correctly. And we learn by making those mistakes. And if you have a bunch of old leads you're not sure of, those are great ones to learn on too. So rather than, oh, I don't know what to do with them or like call and find out, play with it. Like I will say, I do kind of go ahead, Wes.
No, that's a great point that I used to do and I forgot all about. Is the best way to get practice is take the ones you think are the deadest of dead leads and just make a bunch of calls. And first off, it toughens your skin up and you know how like I used to do a lot of cold calling in the day, and it didn't matter. I always got a little tinge in my stomach right before I had to start picking up the phone and cold calling. But I tell you what, until I did it enough, even when I did enough, I got a little tinge. But when I was earlier on it, I got a big tinge. It's like, man, I could find every excuse and so many things to do and follow up on just to avoid having to cold call or make those calls I didn't want to make, or make those calls to the database or clients that I haven't talked to them forever. I found every reason not to do it, and it just never got done. Thank you, Slide Dial. Yeah, Karina.
One thing that I think we need, we're probably on another class, is I've really never heard an example of cold calling. I just kind of winged it and tried my own thing, but I would love to hear what, Patrick and Wes, that you an example of what you do with your cold calling, because I'm just kind of guessing, but I've never really actually heard an experienced agent and what they do.
We're gonna do a couple little like fake examples right here. It's a bit of a limitation. Because I'm abroad, there's a delay with Chime, or else I would be recording my calls right now. But I can't through Chime. There's too much of a delay, and it just ruins my calls. Then I got to deal with delay objections, which aren't really great. But we can do, we can do like a live class. Let me get with you, Karina, because I gotta test out the audio to make sure it's good, where I can do it, because I can't use my headphones. Got to make sure noise and speaker on my computer and there's no delays. But I think we can pull it off, where I could do a live class and you guys could just watch me cold call.
I was just gonna say, Patrick, why don't you and I do a live class and we'll each take a handful of calls and just do it. And and they won't be pre-screened. We'll just friggin' do it. So you'll see raw, you'll see real, you'll see us fumble, you'll see how it is. I tell you what, it's humbling. I mean, if you can get good at doing that kind of stuff, you're gonna get good at everything. First off, you're gonna break down walls of fear you have. You're gonna get over nervousness, and you're gonna realize just pressing through to do it.
Yeah, I'm
great.
I'm big on that.
Great suggestion, Karina. I mean, I love all the participation you guys have, and we're open for the ideas. I mean, we're really, Flex has given us a lot of platforms to be able to level everything up. And we're literally working on, actually, we're almost done with it for the next 3 months, like where there's going to be classes and trainings every Tuesday and Thursday. And there's going to be a Mindset Monday for 30 minutes. Like it's just 11 o'clock every morning. So it's super simple, super simple. And we're going to be, our commitment is to really moving forward, teaching you all, how to arming you with the tools and the abilities, and tools meaning scripts, dialogues, systems to crush your personal business.
I'd also like to see, and we could make a video of this with somebody being a homeowner and somebody being a realtor. I want to see a dialogue back and forth of door knocking. I've never door knocked, and I was thinking of trying it. So I would, love to see that, because I feel like when I'm making cold calls, it's just, I'm just kind of saying the same stuff. Like, hey, I'm Karina. We met a while back from Zillow, just seeing, if you're still in the market for a house. And that's kind of all I'm really doing. So I'd love to hear some other fresh.
Yeah, I hate to say it. It's really just getting comfortable with being very repetitive.
Yeah, I mean, the redundant,
robotic. No, I was just saying, but not sounding robotic, and just really, I mean, cold calling is cold calling. You've got to be really scripted, and it is very, very much the same every time. With the leads, if you can just get, like, if you're keeping good notes, and even if they're gone a long time, if you have a note that just says, hey, they've got 5 kids, or just something little. I mean, even if you put down looking for something with a grand kitchen, you know what? Hey, here's a great way to reach back out to them. Go to a house that has a badass kitchen. Just do a quick little video and say, you know what? I know it's been a long time, but I was in this kitchen. I was showing this house, and this kitchen just made me think of you guys. Bam! There you go.
Boom.
Like, no, there's nothing salesy about that at all. I mean, the reality is cold calling and door knocking. That's it. You've got to put your sales hat on, because that is all about sales. 100%. The nurturing and the follow-up calls, that can be, you can take a lot of that salesy and sales stuff out of it and just build rapport. But we will, actually, Karina, Gina Marie and Patrick and I and Monica, we actually have this huge list of all these classes. And believe it or not, marketing, including cold calling, FSBOs, for sale by owners, expireds, and door knocking is part of it, with the scripts.
Okay, because I want to learn about all of those. Perfect.
We want to make sure everybody can learn about all those. So no, that is all coming. In fact, we'll have all that, I believe, in the next 3 months.
Awesome.
Yeah, I love that stuff.
Don't hesitate to share. No, you're good. You're good. No, don't hesitate to share, all of y'all, whether you've been with this team for a long time or not. Anytime, like, share your ideas with us, things you're wanting to learn. These are literally why we're doing them, to empower y'all and hopefully level y'all up. But also, not to tell you to go do this instead of ask, but if you need anything more urgently, there's a lot on YouTube. You could probably find almost anything on YouTube. You find a ton of cold calling, door knocking, stuff like that. If you need anything more urgent, or just to get other perspectives, other ideas. And then what was I going to say on? Yeah, the cold calling part, it's very, very much like Wes said, repetitive, redundant, but I think that's the idea is just making it light. My goal on cold calls, again, is not, or like these nurture calls, is not to get them to set up a showing appointment, just to let them know I'm there and like make sure they're good and good with my future follow-up. Awesome, man. Thanks for joining, Wes. Thanks for everything you put up input. And now y'all feel free to jump off. We'll jump off here very, very, like in the next few minutes. But I'm just, the goal of them is just to do exactly that. Hey, it's Patrick, just reaching out again from WR Properties. Want to make sure everything's still on track with the listings we're sending you, and that you're still okay, like nothing has changed. I want to find out if they've progressed. I always give them the same type, and I'll provide this by tomorrow with the text templates and call topic talking points. It's just always like giving them same exact endings. I almost end my texts and calls like the same few that I rotate. Hey, are you still, are you already in good hands, or has anything changed? If I'm trying to like find out a little more a few months down the line. Or hey, are you guys still just, has anything changed, or are you still just browsing for now? I'm just giving them like open-ended questions that give them outs and that aren't super obligated to follow up with. Therefore, I'm comfortable also sending like something similar a month later. Or just, hey, just checking in, want to see if anything's changed. Here if you need anything. Hey, Karina, it's Karina here, just doing my regular rounds. Hope you all are well, and here for you when the time is right for you. Things like that. That's the idea, because you might have something you're thinking about buying right now, a car or a vacation or something, you're not ready to buy it, but like when you're ready, if like somebody happened to be reaching out around that time or lightly touching on you between now and then, they'll likely position themselves to be that person you'll think of. And that's the goal.
An email?
I'll share it on Slack. Like it will be 3 documents. So we'll just have like text templates, call templates and emails for fresh new leads, for the kind of warm leads, and for cold leads.
Yeah, because I think it would be good if we have it in an email, we could just star it, and then when you go to do your follow-ups, you could just pull it up and,
Cool. Yeah, good call. So I'll do that too. So I'm gonna try to star this thing everywhere we can. So I'll put it in Slack, like in the channels. It will be like pinned to the channels. I'll put it in Chime, where it's going to be on the announcement page, and then I can email it to you guys too, so you can start. I'm gonna also like create a document where like eventually I just have one document where it has, okay, links for everything you need in Chime, links for everything you need in Zillow, links for everything you need lead handling, so you guys aren't having to dig back through stuff, and just have one thing that has like essentially everything available, but not 30,000 pages, or it's just links to open up those docs. So yeah, good call, good request, good feedback. And then again, circling back, I just want to say that the whole ending, I always ask them, I mean, not always, but I'm often asking them, especially if I have a good call and they're cool. Good, just want to make sure, awesome. Well, I'll circle back in a couple months. Feel free to let me know if my follow-up's a little too much at any time. I'm pretty good in following instructions. I kind of try to play with it and have some fun. Like, they're humans. So I don't want to be a robot. But I always just make sure, hey, awesome, what was it? Like if they're like, no, not interested at all, totally out of the market, please, no, we don't need anything. Okay, awesome. Is it okay if I circle back with you in a few months? Super simple. They could say yes, or they could say no. Surprisingly, they say yes way more often than I expect. Way more often. Like I thought for sure they'd be saying no a lot. More often than not, it's a yes. So I'm just opening the door, and then I can reference back 3 months later, because they're probably going to forget about me in 3 months. But I can reference that. Yeah, we spoke in November. You let me know, you were juggling a bunch of stuff with kids and the holidays. And oh yeah. Then they remember that. It's crazy when you reference something and they just lighten up. It's like that first resistance. I say this a lot. Maybe it's inappropriate. Maybe I got to step, but like I liken it to like meeting, like if you're dating, like meeting other women or men, like resistance at first, and then you like with more you build rapport, lighten up. Super uncomfortable at first, but the more you get to talk to somebody, it gets more comfortable. And you never know what's going on in the other person's head or life until you ask questions. So that was this went a little different than I thought, but I think we covered the most of it. As far as just the idea of trying to just reach out, not basing your follow-up on their feedback. You do your job, trust the numbers will work out. I'm telling you, I have another lead that I just talked to this week. She was like from 2020, following up with her with texts and calls since the beginning of this year. And then finally in like May, she responded to me that, oh, actually, we're thinking about getting pre-approved, great. Then she set up a buyer consultation with me and ghosted twice. 2 buyer consultations where like I confirmed with like calendar invites and everything. Like it was more official, like not just a call. She ghosted me twice. I kept following up every couple of weeks. I didn't like say, hey, you missed our appointments. I didn't refer back to that and just say, want to see if now's a better time to kind of catch up, or, you know, I'm sure, I know you were busy. I just kind of like fill it in for them to make it easy and then she ghosted me for like 2 months. She got a hold of the O'Malley's, got pre-approved, everything. I thought maybe she found another realtor. Wasn't super worried about it. It happens, but called her again this week. And then I texted her, hey, just want to make sure we're not dropping the ball. If you already found if you're already working with somebody, no worries. Just let me know. We'll still happily send you listings, blah, blah, blah. And then she called me back out of nowhere, just called me. Hey, thanks for calling, Patrick. Sorry, I've been busy. Like, we're doing great. We're still like, we're just had to put things on hold for this, blah, blah, blah. We're looking forward to, working with you. No, they're not going to be working with me. So I'm not a realtor, but we'll get there later. I'll tell them that. But the idea is like, most of the times I would have given up on that lead as a realtor. Would have been after about a few calls. I'm like, all right, they don't like me, or they're working with somebody, or they're not real. No, like it's insane how people will come back to you, 20 attempts later. It's a game of timing. We never know the timing. So our goal is just to like place ourselves in the most ideal time to kind of hopefully be to match with the timing of all of our leads. All right, so I could talk about this stuff forever, as you guys can see. So I don't want to go too far. Does anybody have any specific questions? Anything to wrap up? Maybe anything you were hoping to get to here that we didn't today, or any feedback at all? All good? Everybody's done? Good idea. It's a good way to get me to stop talking is don't ask any more questions. All right, cool. Well, thank y'all for joining. Yeah, let me know any feedback, any future classes, any ways we can do these better. And otherwise, rock and roll, and I'll share those scripts every way I can by tomorrow with y'all and star the heck out of them so they're easily accessible.
Thank you.
Cool.
I'm looking forward to the future classes. Should be good.
Okay, awesome. You're welcome. Thank you. Thanks for joining. Y'all are awesome. And yeah, otherwise have a heck of a Thursday.
Bye.